James David Ray III doing the sound design for a sci-fi scene using Krotos. Okay, right now I'm tasked with creating the sounds for this video. Let's take a look and see what we are up against. We got a space station flying across, astronaut shuttle taking off, wings engaging hyperspace, boom, through the wormhole to this distant planet. Exercise so that we don't atrophy. Nice little landing there. Contemplating our life choices. Why didn't we become an audio engineer? And here are our first steps. Easy enough, especially with all the tools from Krotos. We're going to start off with Krotos Studio. When you pull it up, you can see you have everything from ambiences to footsteps to Foleys to whooshes. So let's go ahead and find something for our exterior here. See what Death Station sounds like. I really like this. Punch that into record for the beginning here. Now see, the cool thing too is if we wanted to, we could just take a stereo of that and drag it out, and we could actually fill in our whole spot with that if we wanted to. I personally, because of the fact that I want these separated for later on in the mix, I took them in as individual tracks. Let's see what else we got going on inside our starship here. I kind of like that. So let's go ahead and record this in for our interior section. And as we come to our new planet background, let's see what our new background is going to sound like. Let's see. Let's take a look at what we got here. We got desert. Oh, that might work really good for when we're on the planet. Do something like that for our space exterior. All right, let's record that in. I think that's going to be really nice to add some nice different textures happening here. Interior of that med bay of some sort. We're going to show you the other way that you can use Krotos Studio to make these wonderful background type ambiences. We're going to go up to AudioSuite and go to Krotos Studio. And what's great about doing it in AudioSuite is that you can just highlight your region length. So we can pull up the hospital room, we can go ahead and preview it and come up with what we want. And once we have it, we can just hit render. We can also go through and pick another one. So now we can layer these on top of each other. Let's go for basement. We can preview. Render. Now we have these two together. Now let's go back to our desert. Go ahead and just search up desert. Makes it nice and easy to find the presets. Here you can see that there's converging circles. Pulling all the way down here, I'm pulling out these elements. I really want more of just the wind and the sand. Let's layer in a couple more things. I like that wind, but this is a foreign land here that we got going. Go ahead and record in these elements. A little bit of alien mood. Let's pick up a different part of our starship. Let's just go to our death station. Render that, and that gives us some nice ship creaks as though the ship is settling in. It's dead in our basement too. Let's get to our last cut here. And this time we're on the surface. And we really just want to emphasize that footstep Really love this idea of being able to highlight a section and AudioSuite in how long I want something. Maybe we'll go back to our desert. Maybe leaving a little texture from the grassland. There we go. Render that. Let's see, maybe we can find something else that'll work really well in this section here. Oh, there we go. Perfect. So there we go. We just finished all the backgrounds for this quick little scene, all with Krotos Studio. How great is that? All these unique backgrounds that we can switch up each time. Krotos Studio isn't the only tool that we're going to use today, and it is really great for what we wanted. But now if we want to add some extra textures, we can use Concept, which is a synth. It's got some fun stuff in it too. It's also got some great presets going for it already. And one of the ones that I really liked before that I was playing with and I think will work perfect for our space shuttle here is this one, Docks. And you just hit a low note on this. I love that. That I already know where I'm going to put that. It's going to be a nice added texture to our shuttle here. I recorded long because in Quick Punch I have my heads and tails, and if I miss something, right, I can easily just slide it over. There we go. Knock it down a level. Take a listen. Just adds that nice little extra something happening inside. All right, so using Concept, we could do all sorts of fun things. We got those backgrounds going. Let's get something for boom, right coming out of the wormhole. We came across a preset earlier that I thought was pretty cool. Earth mover effects. Now, what's great about this, so you see these different LFOs, envelopes, mod wheel. Each one of these can control different aspects of Concept. So the red LFO we can see is controlling the FM depth of both the oscillators, and if we click on it, we can see the controls and the depth that it's going through and at what speed. We have an envelope control that we can change for the filter cutoff and the FM ratio. Resonator here is being controlled, but using our MIDI controller mod wheel, we can control the resonance of the filter. And as we play our notes here, so let's go for this with our end of our wormhole sequence here. Let's see if we can get something cool. I think that works. Maybe get it to ramp in a little bit, pull down a little bit. I think this is going to help us out. So I think we could do something with Concept for this warp speed also. It's great about these presets, or they're such a good place to get started with stuff. There's a lot going on this screen, and you might not know what everything does, but getting the presets going can really get you in the right place. So we can go ahead and start maybe with a gated noise here, and we can hear. It's kind of a cool sound going there. Now, we have our generator here, this oscillator's on, and we have noise and we have a sine, and right now the blend is all the way set to noise. We can pull it up here and get a little bit of that tonal going. Now you have these different LFOs and envelopes. When you click on them, they show you what they're controlling, and also the color here tells you if it's being controlled by something. We could change all this. I'm not always a big fan of auto panning, so we could just remove the pan, and now the pan is no longer automated. Now our gain is still automated. It's automated to this square wave up here. Maybe we can make it go further even. Let's make it go faster. Kind of like that, going like that. Close that up. We can go ahead and take our tune of this, detune it. Instead of just being an LFO, we can set it to a couple of different things. We can have it follow an envelope. We can have it with an audio input, meaning just like Reformer. I could perform it with vocals from my mic or some other audio source. We could do an XY capture where we do moves with the XY and it plays those back, kind of like automation. Or we could control with the mod wheel on our MIDI controller, which is what I'm going to do in this case, so that when I move my mod wheel, and now at the same time, what we can also do, since this is already set to mod wheel, is I could take the blend and I could say, go ahead and throw that in there. There we go. I think this is what we're going to go for here. We have it going from our sine wave up to our noise, while our sine wave is going up in pitch. I think this is going to work great. Let's move on to our next fun one, which is going to sort of make obvious sense. Igniter. Igniter, which tends to be used for vehicles, can be used for all sorts of things. We do have a video out there of using it to do robotic sounds. In this case, we're going to try it for our space shuttle, maybe jumping into hyperspace. So the other great thing, just like with Krotos Studio, let's take a look at this for a second here. One of the things that we can do with Igniter is we can set it up to go into our record tracks. Set it to input, and then we can pull it up. And we can play with our frequencies and our synth here. We can have our loop going with the electromagnetic here. So we can go here and we can pick different engines. Now, you know, obviously if you're doing a real life car, you're going to want the engine and exhaust from a certain car. But in this case, we can sort of play around a little bit. We could put an engine in both sides, right? See what that's going to sound like. Let's go ahead and just solo the granular side of this. Knock the audio down to there. We got to add our RPM to follow a line there. And you know what? We're going to add our load there. We don't want reality here. We don't want a real vehicle that we're used to. That sounds pretty cool. Add a little something to it. Let's take our flange. I think that's going to work really nice. Let's go ahead and reverse this. Let's get our rate to start up high and come down low. I think this is going to work great. Let's go to our loop section here for a second here. I think if we do something like that. This is going to work great. Let's go ahead and mess with our synth a little bit. Change our frequencies on our synth to go a little more extreme. We're going to add one last thing here. We're going to take the gains here so that we can sort of ramp this in and ramp this out together. Maybe not quite so steep. Maybe we'll have it go a little more arc-like. So let's give that a try. Let's see how that works out for us. Put this into record so that we can play it along. Here we go. Let's go ahead and record it. I think that works. Take a listen. Cool. While we have this engine sound, let's go back to where our ship first takes off. And I think what I want to do here, we notice the ship kind of disengages and starts going. Could almost do a little Dopplerishness there. Oh, this is going to be perfect. Ready for this one? We're going to ride this one right into orbit. That's going to work great. Actually, I'm going to do a little clip gain editing here on this. because we could use just a little different volume as we go into our hyperspace. This is gonna work great. Let's take our space shuttle sound one more time here as we go to our landing sequence. Coming in, we'll use our Doppler to help simulate that movement there. The trick is going to be getting the timing right for our engine slowdowns, right? I think our best course of action is to actually just reverse our revs here like we would normally. Maybe what we can do is ramp it in like that. I think that's going to cause a nice until we come down to a stop. I don't think I could have played that any better. I didn't put too much thought into it. I just sort of felt it going, and I feel like that felt pretty good. All right, there's our igniter part. Let's go ahead and hit up our good old friend Reformer and get some extra stuff happening here. Now, Reformer, you can perform either with a microphone or you can perform by using the controls here of amplitude and whatnot. So there are two different ways of controlling Performer. You can either do it with their microphone or you can do it by mouse input here. You can even do mapping of MIDI. There are different ways you can have it going in continuous loop and just control the amplitude there, all depending on how you want to perform the sound you want to perform. So with Performer, we're going to go ahead and perform just a couple motions here for our astronaut, even though most likely you're not going to hear this and we're going to probably bury it in the mix. But we're going to go ahead and load up some movements here, and you can see with my voice talking, you can already see it's reacting to what we have going here. And I have some denim, some canvas, some leather Foley, some acrylic movement, or again, you can input your own, make your own libraries for this. I have an idea here that if we go ahead and pull up Reformer, switch to bars. Wow, that's kind of ringy. Maybe not that. Check. Oh. Oh, I think that's gonna work there. You see where I'm going with this. Chow. Let's take the impact gun. Release. I think that's gonna work really nicely. Yeah. We're going to stay in the Reformer world, but we're also going to go into a different world here. Let's go back to Krotos Studio. Let's go to Krotos Studio. Let's go to Footsteps. Let's go ahead to Boots and Forest and take a mono track here. We're going to send the output of this to KSFX1, which is going to be the input here. And we're going to go here with our dirt footstep. And we're going to add a little extra texture. Go down under Other and go down to Reformer Pro. We're going to add a little extra texture here with this. Awesome. Let's go into our Weaponiser folder here. But the great thing about Weaponiser is it's a great way to actually do all sorts of Foleys and metal movements. You can kind of do a lot of different things with Weaponiser. Don't let the name fool you. Oh, this is going to be good. This is going to be good. Here we go. Let's go ahead and record this in. This is for our disengage here of our space shuttle. Go ahead, back off one frame here. Go into record. Now, of course, we don't actually see a disengage. We don't see any sort of blast of air or anything like that. But this just gives us that feel that, yeah, this sucker just starting to take off. That's great. All right, let's get something for those wings going down. Pull up our Weaponiser, mechanical again, go to design. Let's go for Spacecraft power down. All right, we'll take a listen to this one. Well, there's definitely some elements in there I'd like to use. Take out a variation. Let's shorten. Let's take our saturation on that. Drive it up a bit. So let's knock down our speed a little more. Changing all of our start times here. Record this in. I think that's gonna work really great. Let's just pop off an explosion to get our hyperdrive going here. We can look under weapons or battle bundle or explosions. Let's see if we got an explosion here that we're gonna like. And let's just make a copy of it and do the good old sound designer trick, reverse it, and we're gonna pop that right to where our planet comes in. Down to those tracks. Let's see how that works. Cool. And then we kind of need like a sonic boom or something here. I'm liking that. Can also maybe add a nice impulse response to the tail here. So that's for when our ship stops. Beautiful. Now another thing that we could do with Weaponiser that's going to help us out is we got this astronaut banging around a little bit out here. You know, we don't need much, but let's go ahead and get our astronaut striking the outside there a little bit. Ooh. Something like that might help us out. And if we just switch this envelope, we can cut down on how long it's ringing out. And if I see, look, changing that speed, the variation, each time I hit my onset, you're getting something a little different each time there. These are going to work really well too. So I'm going to take these and pop them all right into here. By layering them, we'll cycle through. Right, we can do up to 5 different layers. Now I don't have 5 hits that I think I'm going to put in here, but by layering them that way, it's going to cycle through each time I hit. You can see the onset is changing there. Go ahead and find all sorts of fun hits here. Like that one. You know what? The more I do this one, the more I don't like it. So let's go ahead and clear that there. All right, let's get our astronaut moving here. All right, there we go. Just sort of 2 arm movements there just to give some contact with the ship. I think that's going to work great. A couple extra things that we could do with Weaponiser here. We got this treadmill here. There are actually a couple of different ways we can attack this treadmill. We can do it with Weaponiser. It comes with factory presets of footsteps. It does sort of have this weird attack to it. We're going to double up the Krotos. We're going to pull up Reformer Pro, and we can add some extra texture to what we want. Acrylic movement, and maybe we replace electronics with leather, because we don't want Reformer overtaking our Weaponiser. We just want it augmenting. Yeah, the acrylic might be a little too crunchy, so let's go ahead and find. Now we got all these different textures that are already come with Reformer Pro, or you can download other libraries from Krotos that have Reformer Pro presets into them, or if you want, you can build your own library, which I've gone over in my water demo that I did with Reformer Pro and how I do swimming. But I don't mind going through and finding something that works. That's going to work, I think, for our treadmill here. And now all we got to do is play through and be some footsteps. Not bad at all. Great. While we're traveling through the wormhole, I feel maybe we need a little more, almost like a railroadish train tunnel, something. Let's take a look, see what Studio has to offer us and as far as presets, but I think something like this. Maybe pitch it down a little bit more. Close, not exactly what I was thinking. Ooh, that might work really nice. Let's try that. So that's almost exactly what we want. Just rails us into that a little bit nicer. Gives us a little bit more texture to our shake. All right, let's add another element to this. Again, going back to Studio, and we're gonna go with the train type sound. It's one of the interiors here, but we're gonna send it through this verb, sort of give it this cavernous hollow sound as we go here. We're gonna start it slow. There, we need to carve out. Let's add a little more action to our satellite here. Just let you know that it's a working satellite. It's actually, or space station, I guess, right? This is where our astronaut is before they take off. Let's come up with something for there. Let's get concept 2 up. We're gonna do some, I don't know, some sort of like telemetry type thing or something for, see what we got. Miscellaneous. Let's go with miscellaneous. I saw this one here, blip. So again, with this preset here, we can see that the mod wheel is controlling the resonance and the mix of the filter, and also the gain of the compressor. I think that will work kind of nicely. Let's take a listen. Can probably add another layer onto that. Let's see if we do, let's go back to our Reformer Pro to add something here. Maybe an electromagnetic pickup here. I like that. Great. I think that's just going to add a nice little complex layer on top. Let's put something for the vastness of Earth. Let's go into our Krotos Studio. Let's go for a whoosh, wind whoosh here. And we'll sort of replicate this hurricane that's happening underneath our space station. Knock that down at some level because it's not exactly close to us, so. You know what else we can do? Let's do this. Let's go up to our Weaponiser. Come to Weaponiser here and pull up UI alarm. And we'll add an IR here. And just using the synth part of onset and thump, get a cool little beepy sound here that we can use for our satellite too. Let's get something to pull us right in. Just boom. Let's take one of our cinematics here. Something a little bit like that. Let's go ahead and record that in. I think that'll work great. And use another one of our whoosh presets here. Yeah. Maybe Maybe the ship is creaking a little bit. Let's go up to our Reformer Pro friend here. Very cool. I think that's helping out a lot. That's adding a little more extra something to the inside of that spaceship. We're just performing it with our voice here. Add a little more metal bend to this all. I feel like we're still missing something to kick us off into Hyperdrive. Maybe a little blaster type thing. Maybe it's something we can do with Weaponiser again. This will shoot us right off into that, and I think this will be great. Cool. That just ramps us into it so much better. There we go. Now we're cooking with fire. Last one to use here today is going to be Dehumaniser. And we're going to go to our Astronaut and put ourselves into record. Clear our throats, because that's always important. Boost up our gain a little bit. Great. Now here's another great thing that we can do with Dehumaniser. Like I said, it's great for adding textures. So, as you might have heard me demoing here, I'm trying to find the sound that I want. And we're going to take this, maybe boost it up there. And let's go ahead and do a little space shuttle flyby. Edit it up a little bit so that it's doing what we want. It's sort of growing there. And on this shot, we're going to keep it steady. All right, so I got a little crazy there and I decided to do the warp speed at the same time.
There you have it, all the sounds made using Krotos.